Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of the Research and Innovation Training Institute. We are celebrating Women in Science and Inventors Day. We have two panels that we've convened today. One of women who have made significant strides in the science fields, and also a team of inventors. First, we'll have our inventors, and that panel will be facilitated by Bobby Melvin, who is the Executive Director of Innovation Commercialization for Prairie View A&M. Bobby, thank you for joining us. Please introduce your panelists.
Thank you. Today, I'm lucky enough to have Dr. April Lovelady and Dr. Laura Carson, two of the, I think one of the certainly my favorite inventors at Prairie View. Even though I've only been here a year, I've gotten to know both of them fairly well, and have just been blown away with not only their passion for Prairie View, but their passion for research and innovation. So I'd like for you all to welcome Dr. Carson and Dr. Lovelady. And I'll start by just a brief introduction and let them introduce themselves, because I certainly couldn't do them justice. I'll start with Dr. Carson, if you're available, Dr. Carson. And go ahead and just briefly introduce yourself and describe sort of your background and what it is you do at Prairie View.
Okay, thank you, Bobby, and thank you guys for having me today. Let's see, how far do I go back? So I did a BS degree at Alcorn. I was an athlete there as well. Got involved with chemistry. I wanted to do chemistry from high school. So I went on to Alcorn, graduated, and decided to do a master's degree. And I found myself here at Prairie View as a graduate student. And that was my first introduction to research. And so I was here at Prairie View for 2 years as a student, and then as a research technician. And then afterwards, I went to the University of Akron and did a PhD in polymer science. And I had a great passion for coming back to Prairie View to teach the students here at Prairie View about polymer science. And so I came here as assistant professor, got a couple of grants, one being the Future Aerospace Technology Center or something with engineering. Worked with Dr. Biney and Dr. Zoe. And received another grant, a NASA FAR grant. All those had to do with polymers, developing polymer composites for space shuttles. And then I started, met Dr. Regisford soon after that, and we started writing grants for engaging students in research. And then shortly after that, I moved over to CARC and started doing research with the plant systems. And that's why I am today, doing research with plant systems, director of undergraduate research and research compliance here in the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences. So a very short story about it.
Not that short. Certainly doesn't begin to capture all the things I've seen you working on already. So we'll get to that shortly. Yeah. Dr. Lovelady, yourself, please.
All right. So hi, everyone. I'm April Lovelady, and by training, I'm a control systems engineer. And so I started out, actually, my first job was working for NASA, and I was developing control systems for the Martian atmosphere at the time. At some point in time, I left the federal government and went to industry, and I was like, like I could probably come up with ideas of my own. So then I was like, well, where am I going to do that? And so I was like, well, academia. So I left industry and I came to academia, where I've gone on to co-found 2 medical device companies. And so my first company is Voyager Biomedical, and I'm happy to say that we've achieved a major strategic investment for that company. And so I was able to transition from being the chief technology officer for Voyager to just being an advisor. My second company is for a device that helps to prevent surgical site infection. So basically what I do is I design mechanical devices that have medical applications. And I get to do all of that fun stuff from here at Prairie View, right? So at Prairie View, I'm a professor in the mechanical engineering department, or an assistant professor in the mechanical engineering department. And I also serve as the associate department head. And so in that role, I've gotten to develop a new class, and that class is called Design Thinking for Device Development. And again, I'm passionate about entrepreneurship and about taking academic research to the market. And so that class is sort of focused on that, right? It teaches students to think, well, to use the design thinking concepts for more than just academic exercises. And let's see, what else do I do? So I've done research again, in currently I'm working on a NASA funded project that is focused on growing microgreens and microgravity. I'm working with various PV alum. And so I really like that one, right? So PV alum, they graduate and they go off and they develop ideas, and then they come back to Prairie View and they say, hey, can you help me prototype these? And so in that way I get to work with Prairie View alumni. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it about me. I guess if you want to know hobbies, I like to garden, and I like to crochet. And eventually one day I want to get into voice acting, as if, you know, people want to listen to my voice for hours on end. But, you know, I think that'll be a really cool thing.
Oh, very interesting. All right. Apparently I jumped the gun and Karen wanted to do an intro video from Dr. Rajan, but
Our Vice President for Research and Innovation. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, April and Laura. Thank you so much for, I'm looking forward to everything that you have to say. And April, we'll have to connect on the crocheting piece.
I know, right, right.
I'm terrible at it, but I love to do it.
So Dr. Nagesh Rajan, who's our Vice President for Research and Innovation, you know, he thought this was a great idea with Inventors Day this week and celebrating women and girls in the sciences this week. Why not celebrate it here at Prairie View through the Research and Innovation Training Institute? And he could not be here today. However, not one to be left out. He has prepared a video for women in science and also one for Inventors Day. So,
good afternoon, PVAMU faculty and staff. I'm Nagesh Rajan, VP for Research and Innovation. Welcome to the special Research and Innovation Training Institute, RITI, celebrating National Inventors Day this Friday, February the 11th. I thought it would be great to spotlight the dynamic innovators at Prairie View A&M University. Today's RITI, you will hear from some phenomenal inventors who sensed something needed to change or create it. That is what inventors do. They have an idea or see something and invent a way to improve it. IC Director Bobby Melvin has assembled some outstanding faculty and staff in innovation to share their journey with you. So thank you for attending today's RITI session.
thank you for your introductions, Dr. Carson, Dr. Lovelady. Just a few questions that you kind of throw out, then I'll open up the floor for questions from our audience for yourselves. But my questions, one of them to start with is, what is it you like most about conducting research? Why is that interesting as opposed to, for example, being a teacher, professor? Or are they mutually exclusive? Start with Dr. Lovelady.
Oh, so, okay. I don't think that they're necessarily mutually exclusive. I mean, that's part of the reason why I came back to the field of academia, right? Because I have an opportunity to sort of bring the research that I'm doing into the classroom to help, I hope it helps provide motivation for the students, right? To continue their STEM education. There have been a lot of studies that have taken a look at why students are motivated to enter the STEM field and to pursue STEM careers. And it oftentimes stems or sort of circulates around having mentors that look like them that they can relate to. And so, you know, being a minority female, Prairie View is a perfect place, I think, for me to sort of come here and showcase that research. And so I love academia and entrepreneurship, because academia gives me the opportunity to be entrepreneurial with somebody else's money, right? Not with my own. So we get to write grants and pursue this research area. And then we have the support of the university behind us, you know, in the event we should come up with something that's patentable. And so for me, the two are not mutually exclusive, but they are very much integrated. And so I get to research things that I'm passionate about and then share that passion with the next generation in hopes of inspiring them.
Thank you. How about Dr. Carson? What do you like the most about your conducting research?
What I like most about it is you get to be creative. You get to do those things that's an interest to you. And you get the opportunity to engage students, to develop the next generation of URMs to work in the scientific arena. That whole part of engaging students, I think, is very, very important to building the next generation of researchers. So I agree with Dr. Lovelady. They're not mutually exclusive of each other.
Okay. I was going to ask you, what do you like least? But I think unanimously, I've only heard from researchers that the least thing you like least is having to write grants to get the money.
Absolutely. You know, what I think might be useful is if we invest in more grant writers, that there is time that we plug out to actually sit with the grant writers. That is one thing, but over the years, I think a lot of us have that ability to do some writing on our own and to develop some ideas. I think one of the things that concerns me is making sure that we are engaging each other so that there is a interdisciplinary focus to some of our research activities, incorporating some of the social sciences and the behavioral sciences into like what Dr. Lovelady did, the creation of these devices. I think that's an important aspect that we should at least consider.
I can say from my interaction or my work with innovation at A&M and here at Prairie View as well, the collaborative efforts is becoming more of a focus. The interdisciplinary collaboration is becoming more of a focus. And I think it's a good one. I agree with you 100%. It's definitely, it adds to the whole experience, I think, and it results in better results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't forget the engagement of the students. They're our products.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't get a chance to work with the students as much as you guys do, but I can see how that would be exciting because their student body that I've run into so far has been just amazing.
Oh, they're bright. They're very, very bright.
You like to add anything to that about what you dislike the most, don't like the most about research, Dr. Lovelady?
I mean, you were spot on when you said writing the proposals. I've got one due Friday, right? And so I'm not looking for it, but I'm like, I'm right there. And I want to try to get it in before I upset anybody in OSP. Like I want to get it in a few days ahead of time.
Well, more is ready to help you.
Well, the team has been great. It's not, I mean, OSP has been wonderful. Working with them has been great. It's not OSP, it's me. And it's finding the time. It's just the time. Like when you're passionate about your research, but you're passionate about the students can take up so much time.
That's right.
But they're an investment, and so, I'm investing in them. And it's just a matter of, okay, I need to do a better job balancing that. But if I had to say, I'm right there with the, writing grants to get the money for the research. I don't like it.
It wasn't one of the questions I was going to ask, but you've prompted a thought, Dr. Lovelady. Have the students, are the students getting more involved? Do you see a growth in their interest in research and the effort that they put into, like both of you have been through the doctorate program, so you were postdocs, probably working with professors or researchers at during your time when you were in your graduate studies. But we're starting to grow that more at Prairie View, I know, but have you seen it personally? Are you seeing it personally?
Dr. Carson, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So when I first started doing research, some 20 some years ago here at Prairie View, there were few students who, there were fewer then than there are now, who were interested, simply because they didn't understand, our students didn't understand the importance of research and how it impacts our daily lives. And so it was not a real thing to them. It was like something that was playful. And when they envision doing research, they envision a person with gray hair like I have now, and a white coat with glasses. And so getting through that whole mindset that it's not just that, but you can be a researcher, you can do research, and you don't have to look like that, right? You can just be whoever you are, and it's okay. Being a person of color in research is not unreal. It can happen. And so getting past that mindset that you too can make a contribution to the issues that we're having as society.
Mhm.
So,
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. The LSAMP program is a wonderful program, right? Because it encourages students to be involved in research. I think right now I've got something like 10 LSAMP students. And so it teaches them, not only do they have the hands-on experience, but it's also an opportunity to teach them about professionalism, right? So we have our weekly research meetings, and we have our tasks, and we have our agenda. And so we show up every week, every Friday at 2:00, where everybody has to give a bit of a spiel on what they've done this week, what they've accomplished, and then I give them an opportunity to tell me what I can help them with, right? I kind of let them lead their own research, but then how can I help you? They're bright students, and so I value diversity of thought, right? Which means, Dr. Carson, you spoke to having gray hair. Let me tell you, that has nothing to do with it, all right? Nothing to do with it at all.
yeah.
I don't have gray hair, and they still think I don't know what I'm talking about most days, right? One day I will have gray hair, God willing, if I'm blessed to have gray hair one day, and I'm sure they won't think I know what I'm talking about then. I tell my students, I said, my dad doesn't listen to me because I'm his daughter. My kids don't listen to me because I'm their mother, and you don't listen to me because I'm your professor, right? But when you put them in a research atmosphere and a research environment, I find that sort of decreases that gap, right? And they do start to listen to you. They start to ask, probing questions, and what do you think about this? And what about that? And so they kind of do start to listen to you. So research benefits students in more ways than one. It benefits them, of course, they have the hands-on experience, and it builds their confidence because at times they get to see their ideas come to life. And it actually creates an environment where they listen to us.
That's right. They gain
and
trust.
so it absolutely benefits students in more ways than one.
Super. So one of the outcomes from a lot of research are things that you've invented, and those things can be patented. Do either of you have any patents that you've ever been able to be listed as the inventor on?
A Lovelady does, I know.
I was going to defer. I was deferring to you, Dr. Carson, deferring to you.
Yeah, so I have one actually that's out there. There is a plant that the plant systems we've grown, and there are some nutrients in that plant, as a matter of fact, that's supposed to be 10 times as sweet as sugar, right? And so we're trying to use it as some kind of obesity controlling plant. So it's kind of in we've already signed some of the patent paperwork, so all the details can't be shared now.
Correct.
As far as I know. And so
That's correct.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so there's a team of us here in the plant system: Dr. Susie, Dr. Aruna, Dr. M. Dr. Sella. All of us played a part in doing that. So I'm all about team. Team, do it together. It's easier. Yeah.
Dr. Lovelady, I think you have 2 or 3, as I recall.
Yeah.
Working with the medical devices. So again, one is a cannulation device for dialysis patients, and the other is a device for preventing surgical site infections. And so it's like a flexible wearable device that deals with photodynamics. But to touch on what Dr. Carson just said, being about teamwork, those patents would not have been possible without teamwork, right? And so they were born in the mind of a medical doctor who said, hey, I need an engineer to build this, right? And so we brought medicine, and he brought the medicine, I brought the engineering, and we worked together to prototype and test those devices. And I'm really, really proud to say that if you remember when I first introduced myself, I said, hey, one of these companies has achieved a strategic partnership, and so now the device is going through FDA approval. A lot of that would not have been possible without the testing that we did at Prairie View. Mm-hmm. So Prairie View, I can't remember the name. It's of the grant now. Forgive me.
Capacity building?
I'm sorry?
Capacity building? No, maybe not.
I can't remember. What is it? That's not it. But it was, to kind of help you get your career going. And so I was fortunate enough to have gotten to receive one of those grants. And so we took those funds, used it to do some research at Prairie View. My company then also did a sponsored research grant with Prairie View. And so you have funds. And so we were able to take that data and convince the FDA that, hey, this is a great idea and we should move this forward, right? And so I think, again, right back to the office of, sponsored research, we appreciate, what you do for us, and you enable us to be entrepreneurial.
Thank you. I think we're probably used up most of our time that we're allotted, but we do want to leave it open a little bit, a few minutes anyway, for questions from people in the audience that are listening. Does anybody have any questions specifically? It's like there's one from Ms. Garner. If I have an invention that I would like to commercialize, what are the first steps in working with the university? So I know, Dr. Lovelady, you've had some experience with that. And I know Dr. Carson is working towards that, because I know some of the things he's working on and already accomplished. So what would you guys talk about the support and the way the reception you receive from the university about helping you with your inventions?
So I think, first of all, file that invention disclosure, right? You've got to get that done. That's a key step, is filing that invention disclosure. And I will say that I came to Prairie View fall of 2017, and the support from OSP and the IC office has just grown tremendously. Mm-hmm. We have staff who understand invention disclosures. We have staff who can help with doing a market analysis and doing prior art, research. And so we have all those things, but the first step is filing that invention disclosure.
This is totally inappropriate, but I will have to say that every female inventor that I've worked with have done very good invention disclosures. And I can't say that about all the males.
We'll take it.
I got it.
I don't know why that is, but as you were talking, I was just thinking, I've got a few people right now that I can't get to do an invention disclosure correctly. And I've reviewed both of yours, and I know that they were done very well. So.
Okay, Bobby, we're coming towards the end of the time for our wonderful inventors. If you have additional questions for them, please add them to the chat box Bobby, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
convening
Thank you,
this
Dr. Carson. Thank you, Dr. Lovelady.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you, thank you. And next we have Women in Science, International Day of Women and Girls in Science is this week. And it celebrates full and equal access and participation for women and girls in science. And once again, Dr. Nagesh Rajan, our Vice President for Research and Innovation, was not able to be here today, but he did prepare a message. So, and I understand you're having some difficulty hearing the sound. Know that on my end, it's turned up as loud as possible. So if you can just kind of tweak it on your end, maybe that'll help. I'm not sure, but let's see what we can do about.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the special Research and Innovation Training Institute celebrating women in science. I'm Magesh Rajan, Vice President for Research and Innovation. This Friday will be International Day of Women and Girls in Science. As researchers, we know how important it is to diversify and increase the number of women pursuing careers in science, technology, engineering, and maths. That is the focus of this special RITI session, focused on women in STEM. As a researcher, I know how important it is to honor women's significant achievements in science and to put some much needed focus on girls entering science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM fields, and STEM careers. There are many initiatives to recruit women to earn degrees in STEM, including here at Prairie View A&M University. Dr. Krish has invited some outstanding PVAMU women in STEM to share their career experiences. So thank you for joining us and enjoy the special RITI session.
Thank you. And again, I apologize if there were some challenges with the sound. We have joining us Dr. Krishnamoorthi, who is the Director of our Office of Research Advancement, and he works very closely with our researchers. He has
Good afternoon.
brought
Karen,
together.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Can you all hear me? Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome. And I applaud all the inventors and scientists. February 11th is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. We celebrate your accomplishments. You may ask why celebration? Because you have crossed many barriers, especially in meeting different challenges, apart from work-life balance. Especially women in science have faced an enormous challenge throughout. I looked up some data from United States Census Bureau. Women in nation's workforce is 48%, but women in STEM is only 27%. It is based on a 2019 study. But more troubling is the fact that since 1970, this represents only 8% increase. That is nearly 0.02% per year over the last 51 years. That is very sad. The reason is the attitude exhibited by many male members. I can honestly say that because I looked up for some information, some anecdotal information, and from one Ivy League student paper, I found 3 interviews from female faculty members. And one of them, I will just quote some material which I thought was very striking and very sad. The reason you are able to get this internship was because you are a girl, one faculty member said. Like there are special slots reserved for you, not because you really earned it, but because you are a woman. This leads to the so-called imposter syndrome. You are led to believe you are not there because of your qualifications. That is very sad. And look at another faculty member in neuroscience. She attended MIT for both her undergraduate and graduate studies. And when she was considering a lab at MIT, one senior graduate student said, "We don't want you in the lab. We don't want women. It's like a locker room in here. We want to keep that going." So that is another sad thing. I bet there are many women who have faced similar situations. And yet another one who is a professor in applied mathematics. I am made to feel I am occupying a spot that would be better suited for a man, or being told I received some recognition only because I was a woman. I am not proud of this now, but the truth is that in my public middle school, being smart meant other kids would try to cheat off my tests and that boys wouldn't like me. So it seemed easier to pretend I wasn't smart. So these are the facts. And of course, things have started improving, but we have a long way to go. So on this occasion, it is truly a celebration, and I personally salute to you all women faculty and women faculty in STEM as well as inventors. And I have invited Dr. Nali and Dr. Andrea Ashley as representative. There are many women faculty members whom we could invite, but due to time constraint, I have invited them here. Now, please share your experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that male members can take the hint and the required changes affected in the attitude. I think each one can adjust his attitude so that these things can improve. Opportunities are plenty, but as you can see right from school, there is a barrier, and you have all crossed all those barriers. Again, I congratulate you, and please share your experience.
Okay, thank you, Krish.
Dr.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Nali, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science. Actually, I started my faculty career after I got my PhD degree from the University of Texas at Arlington, and I've been working in the area of computer science for years. I think I'm lucky because I have been faced, criticism, like what is shared by Krish, but I do see, the challenges, as a female faculty in the STEM area, especially, the work balance, the taking care of the home. I feel more, I feel the challenge more after I have my daughter. And so during the lockdown time, and I just had my baby last year. So she brings, joys to my family, but, I still need to balance, the teaching, research, and also taking care of the family and my daughter. So definitely it's more challenging. But for me, I have more I want to share, like, the pleasant experience I had. And what I see as a female faculty is the opportunities. Okay, at least when I joined since I joined PV, and I got, the equal opportunities. And to share with you, even before I officially joined, after I got offer letter, the department head, and give me an opportunity, because at that time we I think PV got, the grant from the Title III, and Title III grant from the Department of Education. After that project was directed by Ms. Williams, so he knew our department head knew that opportunity. That's why he encouraged me to write a proposal. At that time, I wasn't very confident, I said, since the department head, that's a good opportunity, and I wanted to try. Okay, and so I was very blessed. I got the grant from the Title III, and that one supported me for, I think, 6 years. And in the proposal, we proposed to develop a concentration. Okay, but at that time, I just got some teaching experience, teaching some security classes. I didn't have a full idea about concentration, how to really recruit students into the concentration. So these 6 years, and I have been working hard, developing the courses, and also I got, opportunities, the grants from NISA and NSF, which helped me build stronger record. Okay, and so I think in fall 2020, the department successfully established the concentration. So I'm the coordinator of the concentration. What I can see is our students, when they first, some students, they talk to me right after they join PV. And then at that time, they just show, oh, I'm interested in cybersecurity, but they probably don't know much about cybersecurity. After they taking some security courses, now I can see they got internship from HP, from some other companies, particularly in the area of cybersecurity. So I'm very proud of our students, and I also encourage them. I'm trying to set a good model, letting them see that it may be, challenging, as a female, engineer, but if we work hard and we still have the opportunities to do what we like. And I really, appreciated the opportunities I got from Private View, where I can, I can see my own career development. And so, yeah, that's what I want to share.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. You're a role model to the students, and in fact, Prairie View as a majority female population, I believe it is 60-40. So I appreciate your comments. I am glad you didn't face many challenges, but unfortunately, that is not the situation overall, as the data indicate. But your being a role model will go a long way. Thanks. Dr. Ashley?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. As Dr. Krish alluded to earlier, mine was not such a straightforward journey. I think I fit into the traditional track that most women in STEM face, according to Dr. Krish's data. For me, having graduated from Prairie View A&M with 2 degrees in chemistry, I started my I continued my graduate career at Texas A&M, and that did not go so well, to say the least. So after starting a PhD program there, after 2 years, I took a leave of absence because the environment was not conducive to continuing at that time. And this was in the late 90s. I think in my department, there was only one other person of color, and he was from one of the African nations. So there was not a lot to provide extra support at that time. But anyway, after my leave of absence, I worked for about 3 years in an environmental lab, and that sort of pointed me into another direction. So I left from the chemistry PhD and then decided to pursue a degree in environmental toxicology at Texas Southern. So all of my degrees have been earned at HBCUs. So you can just imagine that alone has put me in another minority category, so to speak. So there are some upsides to that, of course, and those are the ones that I tend to focus on. But I would be remiss if I did not say that sometimes there have been downsides to that. because a lot of times you're not received in the same, let me say, with the same attitudes as someone who has earned their terminal degree at a PWI or maybe an Ivy League school. So even among people of color, sometimes you're not exactly appreciated as someone who's at the top of their game, so to speak. So the reception sometimes can be positive as well as there are negatives, because people perceive someone with degrees from an HBCU as being less than. It's not always said out in the open, but you can tell through conversations and how you're received. But I've never used that as a reason not to excel. To me, it gives me more energy to prove them wrong. And I always believe that to get even, as it were, you prove people that they're wrong about you, prejudging. So I think that has been the thing that has kept me going, is showing people that I can do what they think I'm not able to do. I remember as an undergraduate, my instructors were always there to mentor, and that was a major thing for me. And I think that's why now I tend to focus all my energies into my students, because I remember having people who had my back, as it were, was really helpful. And that's part of the reason why I decided to stick with it, even though all my experiences were not fun. But I've always been someone who likes academia, and my comfort place is there. I tried industry. It really didn't give me what I was looking for. And I think it's because the job I was doing at the time did not allow me to sort of think and be myself. So I find that place in academia. So for me, it's the best of both worlds. I get to pass on the torch, as it were, to the next generation by helping them with lessons that I have learned and trying to make their experience a little bit better than mine was. That's not to say that there weren't good experiences. They were. I mean, many doors were open to me through the care that I got from a lot of my mentors. And to be honest, the person who sort of helped me find the direction in chemistry in the beginning was actually my high school chemistry teacher, Mr. Johnson. He was a white male, but he saw that I had talent and he encouraged that. And he told me, well, why don't you do chemistry? You're good at it. And there are not many women of color doing chemistry. This is way back in the late 1980s, he said that. And I never forgot that. And it stuck with me. And I thought, well, Mr. Johnson said I could do it, so let me just pursue it. And I did, and I really liked it. And I found that I liked many other disciplines as well. So I'm kind of one of those minds that really sort of like, I wouldn't say a nerd, but maybe something like that. I've always been a bookworm. I was never good at sports. I didn't really like it. And I always sat on the bench when it's time to volunteer for something with sports. So I always loved books and anything to do with reading and things like that. I like mystery novels. I love Sherlock Holmes, anything that makes me think. I'm always gravitating towards that. I love crossword puzzles. I mean, they don't sound like a lot of fun, but that's my what I find enjoyment in. But to where we are now, I think all those experiences really helped me in focusing on what I'm doing now. So I remember so I started working in the Department of Chemistry in 2013. I came back and I served as an adjunct for about 5 years. And I remember going on a trip once and I was doing my reimbursements for travel. And I remember someone said to me, well, why don't you take the full allocation for the meal or something like that. And I said, well, I really didn't spend all that. So I'm just going to put down exactly what was there. And then the person said to me, well, you know, you're the lowest paid person in the department. I was like, oh, wow. You know, so that kind of hit me there, you know, that this fact was out there. And I thought about it, and to be honest, at that time I was thinking, well, maybe I should leave and find something else to do, but I couldn't, because I really found the place where I think I can be of assistance to my students, to sort of help them in, especially those that don't quite know what they want, because I was one of those students, right? I liked so many things, I couldn't settle on one thing. Because I remember my first work study job on campus was actually in the Department of Agriculture, and I really loved doing that. And then I got another job, another semester in the chemistry department, and I loved that too. So there were so many things that I liked, but I had people around me that helped me to use all those things that I liked and channel those into research. So I actually got into research by doing work study. And I found that I liked it, but not only that, I had people that made us pursue those things. So our department was really small at that time. So the few of us that were around, you were always sent to do some kind of presentation. It was an expectation from our professors, right? So because of that, I was really shy at that time, but it helped me so much in public speaking and gaining confidence and things like that. So all of those things that were poured into me, this job really provides me an avenue to be that person for the next generation. So I always called my department head at the time my science grandpa, right? And he too would say the same thing, right? So we, I think the key thing is, if anyone is looking for direction on what to do when it comes to STEM and how to encourage other students, I don't want that to be lost, right? Because there are always a small group of students where they're right in that middle where they're not quite certain what they want to do. They're multi-talented, but they will always need that assistance to get them to at least one or two areas that they really excel in. So for me, being in this department, even though my terminal degree is not in chemistry, it's in environmental toxicology, which is pretty interdisciplinary. And it suits me anyway, because I've always had that kind of mind, right? So I find that I like multiple things. And to be honest, it gives me a channel to sort of explore different things and be myself. I remember at Texas Southern, my advisor, Dr. Bobby Wilson, he was sort of more hands-off as an advisor. And that was good for me and my personality, because I like thinking out of the box, and he allowed me to do that. So for me, my experience has always been having people that allowed me to be myself. And that's what I try to do for my students now. So I volunteer with Chemistry Club. I do things with the ACS. So I always do the student poster judging, and for Sigma Xi, I do that as well. I also serve as our campus chapter secretary for Sigma Xi. Right now, I'm in the middle of creating a green chemistry class, because again, that's another area that I really find that my degree is applicable, and I like doing it. I always tell my students, whatever you do, even if it's difficult, right? You find what you love to do, because you'll do it even when it's hard, right? Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have.
Thank you, Andrea.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate your candid presentation. Truly, you are all heroes in my eyes, especially the extra barrier of doing STEM. If the barrier exists even at a very young age, like one of the faculty members remarked. And in fact, another one has said, this might resonate with quite a few on our campus because we ran a survey in regard to an NSF advanced proposal. And that is that at times I have been given more administrative rather than scientific responsibilities. We have received similar comments from quite a few faculty members here. So again, thanks for sharing your views. We are running out of time. So any questions from the audience? I don't want to consume all the time. Please put in the chat box your questions before we conclude in the next couple of minutes.
Please go ahead and add your questions, as Dr. Krish said, in the chat box. And if we conclude our session before your questions are answered, then just reach out to Dr. Krish or to Bobby Melvin, and we'll make sure that your question reaches the appropriate person. Again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today, and thank you to our panelists as well. It's great to have insight to both the challenges and the successes that you have had. Something that is probably a strain of consistency across everything that everyone said, and that is perseverance no matter what happens. Find your passion. Be prepared to pivot. Don't be afraid to pivot. And something else that I think every one of you who spoke mentioned in some way or another, and that is be prepared to pay it forward. You want to make, what I've heard you all say is that you want the next group coming after you to have it just a little bit easier than you did. So thank you so much for your perseverance, for finding your passion, for being able to pivot and land where you are squarely here at Prairie A&M University, and for paying it forward. Thank you everyone again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time for the Research and Innovation Training Institute. And thank you also to our facilitators. Have a great day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the day.